Haunting Ground is one of the many cult classics that have gained a newfound love within the past few years. It was originally one of the many story ideas for RE4. RE4 on its own birthed quite a few projects. 3.5, which is a scrapped version of RE4 involving a ghostly hookman chasing Leon. Devil May Cry, a stylish gothic hack and slash beloved by many, which I haven't played, so please don't tell anyone. And Haunting Ground, playing as Fiona and everyone's favourite dog, Hewie. I have a lot of love for Haunting Ground. I first played it in 2021 and it's become one of my favourite survival horror games of all time. From the main character of Fiona and the stunning gothic environments to the disturbing villains along the journey, this is my mini love letter, aka me gushing about Haunting Ground. The main character we play as is Fiona. Involved in a horrible car accident, she finds herself in the darkest part of Beli Castle. As we get to our surroundings with controls and the environment Fiona finds herself in, we meet one of the many stalkers in the game, Daniela. Changing into some new clothes, we begin to explore more of Beli Castle as the game slowly begins to open. In the first section, we're introduced to Fiona and Hewie, our two main characters, and our dangerous villains, Debilitos, Daniela, Ricardo, and Lorenzo. They all pursue Fiona for their different and selfish reasons. Haunting Ground is a mixture of Resident Evil and Clock Tower for the gameplay aspect. You will explore the different areas, finding solution for puzzles or keys for a specific door, survivor horror essentials. But when it comes to defending yourself, that's the tricky part. Fiona's not a huge fighter. She can kick or shove the stalkers, hunting her, but it's not fully recommended. Instead, there are many different areas Fiona can hide to avoid the stalkers. Hiding under a bed or under a chair could really help lose the stalkers off your back. Fiona's other defensive option is our partner on her journey, Hewie. There are many commands that you can use for Hewie, from telling him to search or stay, or praising him for doing something good. But you may need to scold him as well if he doesn't behave. So if a stalker is right near Fiona, she can command Hewie to attack, causing them damage. From here, we can hide somewhere or run to create quite a lot of distance so we can continue with our current objective. Many areas of the game have holes in the wall that lead to alchemy labs where you can craft other defensive items to use on the stalkers. Most of the items are to stun the stalkers so you can quickly create some distance. Sometimes it's just lucky to have these in your inventory for a tricky situation. There are going to be moments when you're working on a current objective only for the stalker to come in and bother you for some time, aka for the next 20 minutes if you get lost and don't know where you're going. But it just makes the game so much more interesting, having that adrenaline like, OMG, this killer's here. Where do I go? How do I get away? Where should I hide? I just love it. Fiona's going to see some disturbing things, which is going to cause her panic meter to boost right up. If she sees enough disturbed sights or is attacked by a stalker a bunch of times, Fiona will go into an hysterical panic. This can be very dangerous due to the lack of control you'll have over Fiona. This also opens her up to be more vulnerable, so my biggest tip is to create enough distance while in the panic meter until she snaps out of it. On the topic of stalkers and a panic meter, let's go through some of these creepy stalkers and the many places Fiona and Hewie visit. The first stalker we encounter is Debilitos within the dark corridors of Beli Castle. Debilitos sees Fiona as a doll, a toy he can play with and rip apart. He is a very standard stalker compared to the others you'll meet on your journey. Debilitos and Beli Castle is your standard introduction to the mechanics of Haunting Ground and how the rest of your journey could play out. When you fight Debilitos in his boss fight, there are two outcomes to the fight which can affect the ending you get, so just be wary on how you choose to defeat him. Shortly after this and some moments with Daniela, she will suddenly snap after being deemed not complete and seeing Fiona as the perfect woman. She will chase Fiona into the second area of the game, the mansion. You will also face another stalker on the other side of the mansion later on. I really love this area, it's one of my favourite areas of the game. game. It has a perfect balance of creepy mansion, gothic architecture, and confusion in general, which makes it that much more scarier getting chased. Daniela is a lot faster than Debilitos. She will chase Fiona with a massive broken piece of glass. There are some extra ways you can stagger her. If you open one of the mirror curtains scattered about and Daniela sees her reflection, she'll go into a hysterical fit, giving you enough time to run past. I also have to mention that you can make this area a lot harder. All I'm gonna say is that there is a puzzle where you choose between two doors. Choosing the wrong door, Daniela will now dawn a fire poker, which will do much more damage and panic to Fiona, which is very interesting gameplay wise. Her boss battle is also very interesting, which is a combination of a puzzle and making sure Hewie's protecting you while you match the coloured pillars to the coloured light. After Daniela's demise, finally probably having the only emotional feeling in her existence, we make our way deeper inside the mansion with the Chaos Forest later on. This is where Fiona is cornered by the absolute creep that is Ricardo. Now Ricardo runs, so that is too scary. He also has a gun, so good luck. This man is a monster. He generally terrifies me, both in gameplay aspects and in the story of Haunting Ground. If you get too close to him, he'll also shoot his gun, taunting Fiona, which is very unsettling. Over here. I also really love this part of the mansion. It takes more of a gothic castle laboratory theme, and the homunculus around the area are very weird. Also, don't kick them because they will hit you back. There is an area on the top floor you can lure Ricardo to, making him fall through the floor and keeping him off your tail for a hot minute. I recommend you do this because it's so helpful, especially if he's been interrupting some puzzles you've been doing. The Chaos Forest for me is a huge maze. I legit got stuck here for half an hour. It was so confusing running around the forest trying not to get killed by Ricardo. During the forest chase, Fiona is captured by Ricardo and eventually woken up by Hewie in a dim cell at the bottom of the water tower. Once again, Ricardo is the stalker of this area. However, dabbling in some alchemy, he's perfected a formula making him invisible to the eyes, which is even more terrifying. You're mainly trying to make your way to the top of the tower. Once you have gathered puzzle pieces and solved a puzzle in a very beautiful astrology room, you then have a boss fight with Ricardo. The water tower is the shortest area of the game. Not too much happens here. You're mainly trying to escape the tower while defeating Ricardo. The final area of the game is the House of Truth. After Ricardo's well-deserved demise, Fiona and Hewie will enter the House of Truth. The House of Truth is a very bizarre area. The way I can describe the aesthetic of this area is crazy demonic castle mansion. There is a lot happening in this place. It is huge. As I mentioned, Lorenzo takes different forms. The first is his old, decrepit form. He will crawl on the floor scrapping to get at Fiona, which is very creepy. Luckily, I found Hewie to be really good at slowing him down. After supposedly killing him with, I'm not even joking, a rock crusher, he will come back as a younger self. In this form, he is much faster and can teleport right behind Fiona and deals a lot more damage with his fists and magic. There's also a room I love where Fiona gets trapped in as she tries to find different ways to escape. Lorenzo taunts her and makes fun of her, and I really love this room. It is terrifying.
Looks like a dead end here. How unfortunate. That was a close one, eh, Fiona? What are you doing, Fiona? Just where do you intend to run?
Lorenzo's final form is a fiery, demonic skeleton that he will take after his boss fight. During the boss fight, Fiona and Hewie manage to push Lorenzo into a pit of lava. As Fiona and Hewie try and make their way out of the House of Truth, Lorenzo will chase them in his final form. We will need to run from him in a chase sequence to the exit until he turns into ash, and finally allowing Fiona and Hewie to escape this horrid nightmare. So you guys are probably wondering what is going on. Why is Fiona so special to these creepy villains, and why is she there in the first place? So let's get into it. Just to put this out there, this is a quick summary of the story of Haunting Ground. There are many great videos out there made by amazing creators with more detailed story explanations, so I'll put those links in the description if that interests you. So what is happening? Well, Fiona possesses something called an Azoth within her. Debilitos is probably the only stalker who might not fully be informed about the Azoth that Fiona has, but the other stalkers are very well informed. In the first section of Beli Castle, it's Lorenzo that sends a note to Fiona telling her how to escape the castle with going through the mansion, Chaos Forest and Water Tower, which would eventually lead Fiona into Lorenzo's grasp, all a part of his plan. When Fiona gets cornered by Ricardo in the Chaos Forest, it's revealed that he's actually a clone of her father, Ugo. Ricardo was also the one that caused the car crash, killing Fiona's parents and kidnapping her to Beli Castle. When Fiona arrives at the House of Truth, Lorenzo reveals he created Ricardo and Ugo, Fiona's father, which makes Ricardo in a sense her uncle, which is even more weird and terrifying, especially the weird sexual things he says to her throughout the game. Ugo then met Fiona's mother, Ayla, giving up on the Azoth, alchemy and the whole Beli Castle lineage to start a new life with Ayla, eventually starting his own family with the birth of Fiona. When Ricardo killed Ugo and Ayla, he then obviously figured out that the Azoth, the essence of life, which both Ricardo and Lorenzo believe that Azoth lies dormant in the female womb, must be inside Fiona. A very disturbing situation. I touched on this briefly earlier in the video. Haunting Ground has 4 possible endings to achieve. I'm quite bad at pronouncing Latin words, so I'm going to put them in text on the screen and say the English version of the ending names. Fortune favors the brave. Ending A sees Fiona and Hewie unlocking the castle gate to escape. Hewie barks, looking back, seeing Debilitos acknowledging to be no threat. Fiona and Hewie make their way out of the castle. I do feel bad in a way since Debilitos is on his own now with everyone being dead, but they were horrid weird creeps, but I also feel a little sense of innocence from Debilitos to some degree. Fire tests gold. Ending B is the same as A but without Debilitos. When I mentioned earlier there are 2 outcomes to Debilitos's boss fight, he can be killed, which if he is killed, you will get ending B, which is the ending I got in my playthrough for this video. Give us peace. Ending C is probably the best ending. To get this ending, you must complete the game once. After defeating Debilitos with the chandelier, you can visit him in his hut, where he'll give Fiona a key to a bathroom stall, which reveals a hidden cellar with the gate key in it, so she can escape the castle much quicker. Lorenzo will try and chase after her and just fall down the stairs and die, which he deserves. What you are, I was. What I am, you will be. Ending D is the worst ending you can achieve. Fiona will not be rescued by Hewie in the water tower, finding herself trapped in a very weird prison box. The next scene we see as her is Fiona, heavily pregnant, laughing as she is consumed by insanity as she loses her mind. To get this ending, you would have had to treat Hewie pretty badly, constantly scolding him or even hitting him too much, but I don't know why you'd want to do that because it will warrant you this ending. Haunting Ground provides a lot of unlockables for replay value, different outfits for Hewie and Fiona, an optional hard mode where the stalkers will have different colour palettes for their looks, as well as doing so much more damage and are much faster. Also a cute feature in this mode, instead of Fiona's thoughts, it will be Hewie's thoughts, which is so cute. There are mini game challenges where you play as Hewie, trying to guide Fiona through different challenge stages, which is really cool. I personally found the challenges a bit tricky, but I'm sure a skilled player of Haunting Ground would have a blast and do a much better job than I have. If you're looking to play Haunting Ground, it is limited. Haunting Ground's physical copy is a very expensive game due to it being a rare horror game. The other way to play Haunting Ground would be on a PlayStation 2 emulator on PC, which is the method I use when I play this game. Haunting Ground is a masterfully done horror game that every horror lover of Resident Evil, Silent Hill, etc. should try and play once in their life. Dealing with horrors of being a woman and the horrific, very real experiences women face of stalking, harassment, forced pregnancy, and even sexual assault. A game very ahead of its time. Fiona and Hewie are hidden video game horror legends that both deserve more flowers. It's just such a shame that Haunting Ground was originally launched the same year as Resident Evil 4, which became overshadowed by the success of RE4. However, I am very grateful that in recent years this game seems to get more love year after year, and hopefully I pray we can get some sort of remaster for modern consoles. Capcom, I'm begging, please do a remaster, please, so the fans can continue to spread their love of Haunting Ground. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so happy with all of my heart I got to talk about Haunting Ground. I have so much love for this game. So hopefully in the next video we'll be taking a little trip into a Final Fantasy world. But which game? You'll just have to wait and see.